Hello, this is Biblical Tarot, and I'm back with another video. And in this video, as you see on the screen, I wanted to talk about the Four of Discs from the Thoth Deck by Aleister Crowley. And so I received this deck, and I have been wanting this deck for a very long time. I just wanted to wait to study the Rider-Waite for years thoroughly. I wanted to be able to really connect with the Rider-Waite, and I knew if I get the Thoth deck, I was going to just totally throw Rider-Waite to the side. So it's taken me years to get this deck, and I finally got the Thoth deck gifted to me. So I wanted to scry it and, study it just like I do the Rider-Waite. But I see that the Rider-Waite is so different from the Thoth deck, and it seems to be a different type of scry. As soon as I look at the art on the cards, I get feelings and intuitions going on. I find the art to be very magical. The first card that captivated me and took my attention was this card, the Four of Discs. When I looked at the card, it totally drawed me in, and it reminded me of a prison as soon as I looked at it. It reminded me of a prison. And it's the Four of Discs. It's Sun and Capricorn. As you see the Capricorn sign down at the bottom by the power, and you see the Sun sign up kind of by the four. So it's Sun and Capricorn. That's another thing I like about this deck is that it's not hard to find the astrological signs on it at all. So it's a fortress. That's what I read in the book, that it's a fortress, which was like, oh my God, that's so cool. When I looked at it, it looked like a prison. And if you notice, the doors to this prison, each one of them are closed off. They're blocked off. So it seems like you can't leave this place, or it seems you can't leave it, or maybe it just seems like you can't leave it, and maybe there is a way out. So it also reminded me, I got the thought of the prison industrial complex, and the meaning of that is the rapid expansion of the U.S. inmate population. And as we know, or as I know, the number 4 is a symbolism of expansion, moving out or growing, expanding. So that's another thing that came to my mind when I looked at this card. It was like, wow. And when you take a look at the major arcana, Trump 15, or Atu 15, as it's called Atu in the Thoth deck, it's the zodiac card that goes to the Sun in Capricorn. And it's a Capricorn. It's the Capricorn card. It's a very interesting devil card. If you look at it, it has a goat on it standing in the middle of it, while behind the goat is a phallic shape with 2 big circles, kind of like, testicles. And in the 2 circles are these people, and they look like these people are trapped inside trying to get out, like they're bouncing around, if you see it. I wonder if they could be trapped in this prison of the Four of Discs, or are they born out of that phallic system into the womb of the woman as the Four of Discs, because discs is a materialized, it's physical, it's the earth, which the earth, of course, is a womb. And I will share some meanings of the Four of Discs with you so we can understand the Four of Discs even more. It's solidification, materialization, manifestation. It's the rule of law come manifest. It's heaviness, it's power. It dominates and stabilizes everything and manages its affairs. So it's the law of constitution. It's a fortress, represents law and order, maintained by constant authority and vigilance. Defense is valid only when violently active. The the circles or the discs are square, as you see, because we don't see no circles portrayed as the discs or the pentacles or the coins, whatever you want to call it. And if you go outside those squares, the square discs, okay, it's a moat. And usually fortresses, castles, they have moats, which is a deep, wide ditch surrounding a castle, a fort, or a town, typically filled with water and intended as a defense against attacks or a defense for you not to leave. You know, there was a prison in California. I forgot what it was called. I know there's a prison out in California, and it's in the water, and you have to swim to get out of it. I forgot what the heck what it's called, but I'll put it up on the screen what it's called. But it also reminds me of that, you know. On top of the four buildings is four elements, and that's the water, the earth, the fire, and the air. You can see the alchemical signs on the square discs, but they totally look like buildings in an aerial view of a prison. And it's so interesting to me. I really love that. Um there's more meanings of increase, merciful earth, growth, gives power any existing situation and expands it. Dependence on material comfort and security for stability is selfishness, greed, or confinement, giving structure and meaning to the material universe. Self-protection or inability to give structure. Power, the unfoldment of power, perhaps a feeling of closing off the outside world. Power which will be maintained if offered in the service of love. It's called the Lord of Power, which is Sun in Capricorn, generation and establishment in its full material sense. It is the power which dominates and stabilizes everything, but manages its affairs more by negotiation, by pacific methods than by assertion of itself. Okay, it's power, enjoyment of physical situation, being content and pleased with the way things are, feeling as protected as if you are within the walls of a strong castle under the dominion of a benevolent power of strength. Okay, and let me see if I see no more meanings, but yeah, and I could see the last meaning that I gave. The opposite of that is not being able to get out of this prison right here. Not at all. Obviously, like I said, you can look at the way out, it's blocked. You look at the way out over here, it's blocked. It's right above the sun and it's blocked. On the other side, there's no way out. It's blocked. And on this side, you can't see it, but I'm pretty sure it's blocked. Even when you look at how to get in, there's a gate there at the door, and it's blocked. You can't get out. You probably only can get in, but there ain't no getting out of that place unless you find your way out. So I thought that was really interesting with that. And so as I began looking at this interesting card, I couldn't help but to think of the movie Shawshank Redemption. I kept seeing the first scene where the what's his name? Andy Dufresne. That's what was his name. He was the what the whole movie was about. Andy Dufresne, when he goes to prison and he rides in the bus and he sees this big prison, and when as soon as I seen this card, it put me in the mind of that movie. And so I just couldn't get it out of my mind. So how this movie, in my opinion, resembles the Four of Discs, like the whole premise of the movie gives me all the feelings of this card right here of him being sent to the prison. Even though he didn't do the crime, he went to prison and he spent his time in prison, but he didn't let it, how can I say it? He didn't let it get to him. He was able to make it out and still have hope, because there's a lot of quotations in the movie about hope, and about people being institutionalized, you know what I mean? Because they've been in prison for so long. But Andy, he always had hope. He always was working on a way out of that place. Even if he had to stay in that place and never got his way out, which was going through the sewer. And as you see in this card, you see those yellow squiggly lines, and it makes me think those yellow squiggly lines is the sewers, and that's how he got out. That's how Andy Dufresne got out of prison. He made his own chess pieces with a little I don't know what was that thing called. It was some kind of little tool that you could chisel rocks and make whatever kind of shape out of the rock. But he used that to dig a hole into the sewer system, and he was able to get out because there's no way out. And I could just totally see it in this card. It's just so interesting how this card was like made in the 1930s. And it totally, I don't know if it's like I said in another video, it's the collective consciousness that you can look at a card and totally pop culture can be seen within the card. Or maybe the person that did the movie, because I know Stephen King, he did the book, which was called Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. But the actual movie, maybe the director or the producer, maybe he owns a Thoth deck, and because I get inspirations off of the cards all the time in my artwork. So if you do, a lot of people that do work with tarot, I know a lot of their art is tapped into the tarot, and I know tarot taps into the collective consciousness. So I don't know. I know I might be rambling on. I just was so excited about seeing the card for the first time and thinking, Lord, whoa, that is just straight up. That just the gives me the feelings of being in a prison. And as I looked more and scribed more into the card, I'm like, oh, there's no way out of this prison. And as you read the meanings to the card, it definitely seems like a prison, a fortress, a materialization, even the womb, and coming out of the womb of your mother, you know, and coming into this earth, which the earth, you come out of your mom's womb, which is a circle, you come into the earth, which is a circle, and it's like we're prisoned here. Where are we going to go? We ain't going to go nowhere until we get out of this place, which is when we die. So I just thought it was really interesting. I love this deck. I can't wait to scry more. I've seen lots of cards in the deck that totally remind me of things, and I cannot wait to make videos about it. Because like I said, either it was the collective consciousness that people tapped into or is being tapped into, or maybe they own the Thoth deck and it totally inspired them and it just came out in their artwork, because I see a lot of pop culture in the cards, and these cards was made in like the 1930s. So definitely the card didn't copy off after the pop culture that came after it. It had to either be the pop culture copied off of it, was inspired by it, or like I said, there's a collective consciousness between all beings, and we tap into it all the time. I don't know if it's called the Akashic records or something like that. I always read about it and hear about it. But yeah, I think I'm starting to ramble on right now, but definitely the Shawshank Redemption. And when I totally looked at the posters and the DVDs of it, when I Googled it, it was like, wow, even the colors of the posters to the movie was the same colors as this card. It was just so crazy. And the squareness of some of the posters of being confined and being in prison, it just totally rocked my mind. I'm like, yes, I cannot wait to make more videos on these cards. So I guess I'm going to go now because I don't want to keep rambling on. And I hope you guys have a nice day. And if you're watching this video, thank you so much for supporting me and watching the video. And I love you. Bye.